Right, I went to another protest, but this time it was at the BBC where Fiona from Mass Non-Compliance united everyone from the BNP to left-wing socialists. I'll be chatting to both speakers and protesters from both sides of the political aisle to see why is a digital nightmare and what we'll politely refer to as non-analog slavery cards, purely for the video's algorithmic well-being, because YouTube definitely doesn't quietly bury videos containing naughty words or dangerous ideas. Arriving early, I noticed that the first thing that greets you is the infamous sculpture by rampant Eric Gill. Now, if you didn't know this monstrosity was created by a geezer who was found to have abused not only his own daughters, but also the bloody family dog. Poor little Woofy. I mean, that's Labour Party level depravity. Anyway, it's been vandalised so many times that they actually have to protect it in some sort of vandal-proof display case now. Not being put off by the masses of cameramen and photographers trying to emasculate me with their expensive and bulky equipment, I snuck a few minutes with one of the speakers of the event, young journalist from E Speaks Freely, link in the description, Emma Dunwell.
So my name's Emma Dunwell. I'm an independent journalist. I usually cover these types of events, but today I've been asked to speak. Really nervous, but also really excited. I've never spoken publicly before, so I'm really hoping that we have a decent turnout. And by the looks of things so far, we're going to have a really, really good crowd. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
Why was the BBC chosen as a place to protest today?
Well, because the BBC is what I would call the home of indoctrination and misinformation and propaganda. I mean, look, right there we have the Eric Gill statue. Right, that was a statue made by a and it has been destroyed and vandalised so many times, and the BBC keep paying, and of course that's taxpayer money, is that tax funded, to rebuild it. We don't want this statue, they don't listen. So what does that say about the national broadcaster, about how they listen to their audience?
The average person might think, oh, that's really convenient, but why is
slave card
a bad thing?
Well, because
slave card
is the next step between what we have now and a social credit system.
Slave card
is that mid outlier. And we have so many things that they can already just turn off at a push of a button, and this is just, if we allowed them to carry on with
slave card,
we'd be giving them just a bigger button with more reach.
Slave card
is being implemented in many countries throughout the world at the same time. Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think that there is some higher authority that's running this agenda?
Of course there's a higher authority. I mean, I wouldn't say higher authorities, because at the end of the day it all comes from the same pulpit, if you're asking me, but you know, it all comes from the globalist organisations, the WHO, the WEF. People want to label, you know, Keir Starmer and Tony Blair as the pushers of this, and they are pushers of this, but they're just puppets. They're not the masterminds behind this whole thing. People, and while we're all arguing left versus right, no one's looking up, and that's where we need to be looking. Who are the people that are going to be mostly benefiting from this? The big tech companies. That's where we need to be looking.
The WEF and the WHO are big, recognisable names. So you don't think there's any behind-the-scenes person or organisation controlling them?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, these are the people that people know. But it's like, if I was to think of specific names, I think of people like Klaus Schwab. But then I'm sure that someone who's really, really, really running things, we won't know their name, we won't know their face, we will have absolutely no idea of their existence, and that's the way that they want to keep it.
What do you think are their motivations for doing it? Are they just like psychopaths? Do they want to control everything?
Well,
what's their real underlying motivation?
Well, I mean, they are psychopaths. They do want to control everything. They're Satanists. I do truly believe that all these, you know, groups of elites that everyone talks about all the time, I think they're Satanists. I think they're Luciferians. I'm a Christian. I think a lot of it comes down to they're trying to desecrate us from God as much as possible. They're trying to bring about end times and what they think would be the end times. I mean, it's all very, very blasphemous and demonic. And all of the things that we're seeing on a ground level with trans ideology, with COVID jabs, with all of these things, if you follow it, it all eventually goes into these things that we hear about, the 17 sustainable goals. Like they say, like, oh, well, that's, you know, eradicate all poverty. Well, that sounds lovely, but what they actually mean is they're just going to make everyone equally poor.
What is the main message you would like people to take away from today?
Really, really be strong in your stance of non-compliance. It is really only going to work, and I can't stress this enough, it's only going to work if we all do it. If it's just 500,000 people, 10,000 people doing it, then they're still going to be able to push this out to the mass public, right? But if it's all of us doing it, then we have to make this system so inconvenient for them to use that they physically can't do it. It's not a left and right issue, it's not a racial issue, it's not a religious issue. We can leave all that shit behind. This is going to affect us all equally, and this needs to be the thing that brings us all together. It's just so important that we stand up and we...
The full interview with Emma and all the other interviews and speeches will be published on my other channel, Fixing Rusty Politics, link in the word brothel below. The protests contain people from both the left and the right wing of politics.
Slave card.
It supersedes political boundaries, because if they bring this in, we're all equally f***ed. Whether you're a wokey, a Reform Party member, Islamist or Libertarian. We need to put our differences aside for this one, because when they bring it in, it doesn't matter what your political views are, we're all digital slaves.
My name's Rayan Chima from the Workers' Party, and I'm standing as candidate in the Kingston for the May 2026 elections. I'm here because I believe in freedom, and I believe that democracy is at risk if a
Slave card.
is introduced into the UK.
Why, from a socialist perspective, is
Slave card.
it a bad thing? Surely this is a wet dream for socialists.
No, I mean, for our party, we've got our 10-point manifesto, and our manifesto is all about making sure that the wealth of the British state is used for the benefit of the British people, the British working class. What we've had over the last 40 years is a lot of privatization, a lot of corruption. With the
Slave card.
situation, part of the reason why we're against it is because we see it as another way for the government to abuse its power. We think that if the
Slave card.
was to be rolled out and made mandatory, that would be another mechanism that the government would use to stifle free speech. But if we start to have a situation where free speech is being curtailed, that's not good for our democracy. So whether you're left or right, we should all be against
Slave card.
Who do you think is the main organisation or people that are pushing?
Slave card.
I know Tony Blair, it was one of his pet projects. So I think anything that Tony Blair wanted to push for, he's a war criminal who took this country to war on a pack of lies. You can't really trust his word. I don't know the full range of people that are involved, but I know that Tony Blair is one of the people who's really pushing for it. And I think if he's pushing for it, it's probably going to be immoral.
What would be the one message that you want people, no matter what political persuasion, to take home from today?
I would say just to find out a bit more about what this
Slave card.
is, what impact it will have on you and your life. Because if the government can just suddenly cut you off from your bank account, from your finances, isolate you from society, that's a risk to everybody's freedom. So that would be my main message, just to find out what it's about. Whatever political persuasion you may be, find out what the impact of it would be. And look at how some of the existing laws have been used and abused by the government to stifle free speech. Because it's in all our interest to defend our liberty.
We really need to show the government that we're here, and we mean something and we want change. So that's the main thing.
We say no!
Slave card.
We say no!
Slave card.
Why is
Slave card.
it a bad thing?
My question would be, why is
Slave card.
it a good thing? The only people who should have
Slave card.
are the MPs who continually fail us. We should be free people who supposedly live in a democracy, and we clearly don't. Why do they want total control over us? It's just government overreach, it's tyranny, it feels like version 2.0 of COVID, basically, so we don't need it.
How will it be used to control you?
It'll start off with access, and it potentially could end up as it is in China with, a credit type system where the thought police will stop you if you say the wrong thing, if you don't adhere to the narrative of the government of the day.
What do you think about the fact that multiple countries around the world are all implementing
Slave card.
at the same time?
Back to my point, it feels like COVID is 2.0. It's all in lockstep, which means it's led by the globalists, and the globalists are unelected billionaires. So it's definitely a globalist narrative, and the problem is there's no one voted for this, yeah? So we live in a democracy, so we should have a right, and we do have a right to say no.
What do you think is the main motivation of the quote-unquote globalists?
Well, this is the thing that I don't understand. What their end game is, I don't know. Some people, the eugenics say it's population, depopulation, population control, I don't know. I feel like it's more the Kalegi plan to me, you know, where they're just destroying cultures, destroying traditions. For what end game? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Do you think the force that's driving this agenda is evil?
Absolutely, it's evil. Of course it's evil. It's like COVID. How evil was COVID? Let's hope that we can rise up. Let's hope we can do a Nepal or a Bulgaria, right? You know, but unfortunately, looking around, the whole of London should be here for this. This is the issue. You know, we're in front of the BBC and people still believe in what they report. They're not reporters, they're propaganda mouthpieces. So that's the crazy thing, you know.
Slave card.
We say no.
Slave card.
We say no.
Slave card.
We say no.
We're here today against,
Slave card.
but majority of the people here are against COVID, the government, the corruption, the Operation Tower.
So why is
Slave card.
it a bad thing for the people?
It's all about control. They want to control us, our stupid so-called carbon footprint. You know, they're using that as an excuse. They're using the immigrants as an excuse. It's just control.
Why do they want to control everybody so tightly? What's the real inner motivation?
I don't know, but I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be told what I can eat, when I can eat it, what I can spend my money on.
Do you think it's a worldwide agenda? And,
Yes, yes.
who's behind that agenda?
Well, the 13 families, isn't it?
The Rothschilds, Rockefellers?
Yeah, BlackRock, yeah.
Okay, some people at the last protest were saying this is the mark of the beast.
Quite possibly.
You think it might be a biblical prophecy fulfilled?
Who knows? The thing is, they've made everything upside down and back to front. Who knows what's the truth? Apart from, I don't know. I think everyone here has it in their heart and they know something is wrong. And they're here standing up and talking out and showing it with feet on the ground.
What do you recommend people do to stand against
Slave card.
and oppose it?
Do not comply. Share the information. You know, go to local events, stand in the parks, yellow board tours, share on social media all the while we can.
Slave card. Slave card.
We're here with the Workers' Party of Great Britain protesting against
Slave card.
Okay.
Now,
Slave card.
it doesn't sound too bad, but what they're really looking at is the social credit score that's used in 6 major cities in China. You make the wrong tweet, your social credit drops. They can determine what you have access to.
Like public services, you
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. You can't go into this shop. In these major cities in China, you look in the camera before they let you in. Look. British National Party. I stood for the BNP 5 times.
Now, this old BNP boy was a right character. You should definitely check out the full interview with this geezer on my other channel. It's pretty wild what he had to say. Don't worry, nothing racist. Anyway, he's a member of the BNP and the Workers' Party, which technically makes him a right-wing socialist. Now, I'm not sure if you remember what happened with the last right-wing socialists back in the 30s and 40s. But anyway, back to the video. Right, you think that this is a cause we should all unite on?
Yes.
Whether you're left, right,
Absolutely.
black, brown, white, pink,
Left and
yellow.
right is a silly game. It's not really, it's not true. It's what our elite use to divide us. It's them and it's us.
Who do you think may be behind this agenda?
Come on, the banks.
Slave card.
He really is the net that will trap us all. Once they've got you on that system, and they bring in their 15-minute cities and all the rest of it, then there really is no way back. This really matters.
We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply.
I work for AIDS International, which is run by Amanda, Michael, and Nicholas.
Why is
Slave card.
a bad thing?
Because you're going to be tracked, everything you do, everything you say. Layers and layers of infrastructure have been put in over the last 20, 30 years to bring us to this point in a time. We're on the precipice of going into remote control and tracking of humanity. And this is global. It's not just in the UK, it's global, and they want to make everywhere like China. And I do not want my children living in a society where everything they do, say, buy, think is going to be controlled by the government.
Who do you think is behind the agenda?
It's the corporations.
So you think the corporations are behind it? The owners of the corporations, the shareholders?
Corporations, yeah, and the people at the top. They want this infrastructure in because they can control society.
So what's their motivation for wanting to control society? Are they just evil? Are they psychopaths? Is there like some satanic force behind it?
Yeah, I just think they're psychopathic, and it's the mark of the beast, isn't it?
Oh, so it is the mark of the beast.
Of course it is.
Okay, so do you think this is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy?
I don't think it's that. I think it's, I mean, you could relate it to that, but they have made chips that go in the back of your hand. And you'll have to scan to pay for your food shopping.
So you won't be able to buy or sell without your digital ID and your central bank digital currency?
Yeah, they can turn off the services. I mean, like this week, my Facebook got shut down and my Instagram like that with no explanation. And so that's what they'll be able to do, because everything will be digital. And if you said something online they don't like, they just shut down access to services. And they've already done that in parts of China, and they've already done it in Singapore, because I've got clients that live there and people that didn't vote for the government got their services switched off. So it's real. It's not a conspiracy now. It's actually happening in real time, and people need to be aware, because I think we're going to have a massive problem with this in the future.
Slave card. Slave card.
Old Nacho and Nazarene Veronica from the People's Platform, who I interviewed in my last video, were out representing again. Nice one, guys. By the time we got to Whitehall, just on the other side of the Tommy Robinson protest, the stage was up and the freedom music was blaring. We got a proper star-studded lineup here. We got MP Andrew Bridgen, David Icke, Gareth Icke, some geezer who looks important but I'm not sure who he is, and lastly, to remove all credibility, Piers Corbyn. Time to hear a little bit from the speakers. If you want to hear the full speeches, head over to my other channel, Fixing Rusty Politics. I'm not sure if it actually does anything, but you might as well give it a like and subscribe.
I think everybody's got the right to protest, everybody does. I don't care what your views are, I don't care what your politics is, I don't care what your ideology is, who you pray to, what colour your skin is, I don't care. I am a free speech absolutist, and you can say what you want. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Gareth Icke, everyone. Please make some noise.
Governments answer to us, not the other way around. And what we've allowed over the years is we've allowed ourselves to be gaslit and fooled and conned and divided and terrified into accepting the reverse. Well, that stops now. Ask yourselves, what will you be giving up if you do comply with
Slave card?
We'll be giving away our freedoms, our children's freedoms, our grandchildren's freedoms. We'll be giving away our rights to where we can go, what we can do, what we can buy, whether we can access our money, what we can say, what we can hear. We'll be giving away our children's futures. We'll be giving away their freedoms. They will never experience true freedom because we will have given it away on their behalf. They're trying to fool us. They're trying to terrify us and divide us into accepting
Slave card.
Because they know they can't do it without our consent. If they could steamroller over us and bring in this hellscape without us agreeing, trust me, they would. But they can't, because that's not how this dynamic works. Now, I'm absolutely sure that they will seek to divide us, and they will throw dirty tricks there to get us to turn on each other, because they know that when we stand together as one, we are uncontrollable and unbeatable. But when it comes to digital ID, they're coming for all of us. It doesn't matter what differences we have between us, and I'm sure there's a multitude of differences, but we have so much more in common than we do that divides us. And they know that the only way they can get us to submit is by dividing us. And let us remind those that would rule over us that while some tyrannies last longer than others, in the end they all ultimately crumble. Because when faced with the indomitable force of the collective human spirit, evil will never win the day.
You should give up some of your freedom for security and for convenience. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that history shows repeatedly that those people willing to give up their freedom for the vision of security and convenience end up with neither freedom nor security.
Okay, lovely people, I hope you enjoyed that 20 minutes of utter bollocks. The full interviews and speeches are up on my other channel, Fixing Rusty Politics, link in the text hole below. You might as well grab yourself some Say No to Digital ID t-shirts while you're there. Peace out, and I'll see you next time on Fixing Rusty Politics.